right. And joining us now on the Picks for Polls podcast is our guest for today, Carl Smith Jr. From Robert Morris. Carl, it's great to have you on today. How you doing today, man?
Great, man. Excited to meet with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to coming on. And just to give our listeners a bit of some background on you and your career, based off, what we have here, started college career at Virginia Tech in 2020, kind of a tough year with COVID going on. So you eventually make your way over to Lafayette, where you were there from 2021 to 2023. You were a team captain on your team in 2023 that won the Patriot League championship, made an FCS playoff appearance, and then finishing off your college career this past season as a graduate student at Robert Morris. So obviously some stops along the way, and that COVID year is just, I'm sure it's probably the worst year to enter college football with all the craziness going on. But how would you say that each stop prepared you for making this leap to the NFL, and how did each stop kind of help you along the way of your NFL football journey?
That's a great question. Starting off at Virginia Tech was me playing Power 5 football against the best of the best. Played with guys like Hendon Hooker, Khalil Herbert, former Bear, Raheem Blackshear, Mari Barno, Divine Diablo, like a bunch of guys. So I've seen top tier talent. I've seen what it takes. I've been in rooms with these guys who have made it. So being at Virginia Tech not only showed me what it takes to make it there, and also that it's possible. I can compete with these guys who have done it. And the speed of the game, playing at that level my freshman year, going in there competing with the highest level, was a priceless experience for me in regards to my skills. I know how fast I need to play. After I left Virginia Tech, I went to Lafayette, and it was a different game speed, and I had a chip on my shoulder. Going from Power 5 down to FCS, I still wanted to be that Power 5 player. So when I went to the next stop, I always had a chip on my shoulder. I know where I was, and I know where I'm trying to get to. So that definitely was a big chip on my shoulder. But going to Lafayette was a great experience for me. I ended up getting a great degree in fine arts. I figured out my life off the football field. And we turned a program around that wasn't used to winning very much, and we won a Patriot League championship and made the school's first college football playoff appearance. It was fire.
That is definitely awesome to hear. So first thing I have to ask you is, do you talk to Khalil Herbert at all? Because I know Andrew and I go to these games, and I will say I miss Khalil in the locker room and everything. Do you talk to him at all, or?
Yeah, I still keep in touch with him. He found out the Bears. I met with him. He's yeah, he has a house for me in Chicago still. It was fire. That's my guy. We're really close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's just get right into it, right? Because obviously, you're going through this process. It's all a journey for you. There's going to be a lot of eyes on you. You're obviously at the FCS as well as the Tropical Bowl. A lot of people noted you as a standout. What was that experience like in terms of everything that you maybe learned about yourself as a prospect, but also the competition you're going up against, and what life in the NFL is going to be like?
It was a really big turnaround. My performance at those two events was really changing for my whole NFL journey, because after the season I didn't have much recognition, but after going down Florida and balling out at both events, the spotlight turned to me, and it was a great feeling for me. I never looked at it as any pressure. It looks to me, it felt like I'm getting the attention that I worked so hard for all my life. You feel me? I've always been prepared for this moment. And going to those two events and performing and getting some kind of recognition after all the hard work I've been putting in for a long time, it just felt good. It made me re-fall in love with the game again. I'm getting the feeling that I haven't felt in a very long time from playing football, and I'm really excited for the next chapter.
And speaking of that next chapter, that kind of leads us into who you are as a player, as a wide receiver. What role do you see yourself playing in an NFL offense? Do you see yourself as kind of a slot guy, outside guy, vertical threat, or maybe a little bit of everything? A good friend of the show here, Jake Infante, kind of put a tweet out there where he described you as a guy who can play in multiple spots. Do you think that's something that you can do and contribute when you make it up to the NFL?
No, 100%. I'm a football player at the end of the day. I don't mind playing in the slot because I'm willing to go in, block a safety or block a linebacker. It's a bit easier, those matchups, but I like to compete on the outside. I like to be wherever the ball is going to be. So if they need me to go compete one-on-one on the outside, I can go out there and compete, and I can get open in the slot. And I'm just a team player, so wherever I need to be at to help the team win, like I'll be able to perform and step up.
That's awesome to hear. So I'm actually curious to know, right, in terms of like your primarily, playing in college, right? Did they put you in the slot a lot, or they just kind of like move you around based on like this is where you're at Virginia Tech, then you went to Lafayette and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
Army?
yeah.
So how'd they kind of move you around, and how'd that grow your game?
My freshman year at Virginia Tech, I was playing a lot of slot receiver, and that was really good, because I was smaller, fresh out of high school. I was really twitchy, it was me competing against linebackers and safeties. And then at Lafayette, that's when I began playing inside and outside because they realized like when the ball's in the air, I'm gonna go get it. So they realized like whenever we give him an opportunity to go up and get the ball, he's gonna go get it. So he can be an X receiver if we need him to be that. But I also was playing in the slot just in case we needed somebody to contribute to the run block game. Crossers like concept routes where you need to run like a concept route from the slot. So that definitely made my versatility like next level. Because like I said, I'm a football player. Like I want to go get the ball, but I can block. I can play inside, outside. I'm a competitor when the ball's in the air. No matter where I'm at, I'm trying to make the play.
Yeah, and speaking of being a football player and being versatile, another big part, especially for many NFL teams, they're going to be looking for guys who can contribute on special teams as well. You had some experience as a kick returner in college. Do you think that's something that you can also do when you get to the NFL? And, do you think that being that guy on special teams, do you think that's something that you can also bring something to the table there in that capacity?
Nah, for sure. Special teams is like the biggest role. That's how most guys, like me being smartly recruited, get their jobs and get their opportunity. I could definitely return some kicks and some punts. I'll even go down there and tackle on kickoff. I was all-state safety in high school. Like I'm trying to play football at the end of the day, man. I'm trying to go contribute. I'm trying to just get opportunity no matter what it is. Special teams, receiver, either way.
All right, so I kind of have to ask you, and I know we're going a bit off script here, but you mentioned high school, right? So, like, I coach high school football, right? So I gotta know, like, is there a certain memory or something that you had from high school, like a hit, a play, a win over like your rival high school that sticks out to you through this day that you felt like mainly contributed to you growing as a football player? Like, just give me one dope memory from high school that you had on the gridiron.
Nah, for sure. It was 2020, the season of 2019 at West Catholic. We played. It was a playoff game. It was like the first round of playoffs, state playoffs. We played a team that wasn't really good, but I went crazy that game. I think I had 3 touchdowns, a punt return, kick return, and I received a touchdown. And I touched the ball like 8 times, and I had a total combined yards of over 400. Like I had a scoop and score. I ran a punt back, ran a kick back. I had a bunch of receiving yards. That was the first game where it was like Carl was going crazy. Like it was my senior year. It was a great energy. Like the crowd was super live, and I felt like the guy. Like I've had games where I felt like the guy, but that was the game where it's like, damn, this is a playoff game. I messed up my ankle in the first quarter, came right back in and was like, now I'm gonna finish with the team. Like that was a big moment for me, being the leader on that team and then contributing to the win in a big game. It was fire.
Yeah, a bit of a Randy Moss Thanksgiving game, right? Where you only touch the ball a few times, but each time goes for a touchdown, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Kind of circling back to kind of your profile and who you see yourself as a player. What would you say are the strengths of your game? And when NFL teams ask you, I'm sure you've had. We'll be getting into that shortly. But when NFL teams ask you, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring when they bring you into the building? And what do you think you can contribute from day one whether it's, getting on a team or whether getting drafted or being brought in as a UDFA? What are you trying to bring to the table here when you make it on an NFL roster?
What I bring to any team first and foremost before the field is a great personality. Like I'm here to win. Every team that I've played for has been a winning team. My last year at Robert Morris, we were like the most winningest team since 2010 or 2019. Like we haven't won in a very long time there, but I come with the energy to win. I'm a competitor, and I'm a guy who loves to laugh and bring great energy. I'm a route runner when it comes to football wise on the field. I'm a route runner. I'm out there competing against DBs. Like I want the best DB, and I want to get better. I want to craft. Iron sharpens iron. I'm one of those guys, and yeah, I'm just big on camaraderie and coming together and doing my part. to make everyone better. That's like my whole thing.
So, you mentioned being a competitor, right? And I think part of that is a lot of the preparation that goes into everything. Can you maybe take us through your routine daily, weekly, in terms of like what are you doing during the season? What's the lifting routine like? What's the film like? What is the practice routine like? And how does that kind of help you get ready for that week's opponent?
For sure. Um, if we have off on Monday, whatever extra days I can get in to watch extra film, I'm with that. So at the beginning of the week, I'll do my own film before the coaches get into their breakdown to see what I'm thinking about for the team that we're facing the following game. And then in regards to lifting, I guess we lift 3 times a week. I'll do my practice. When I'm outside of lifting practice, I'm in the physical therapy. I'm in PT all the time. As I'm getting older, 5th year, I'm not a younger guy. So I'm extra PT, make sure my body's always in its best shape, always ready to go. On my off time, I do a lot of stretching and yoga, like just trying to stay fluid, trying to stay on top of my body, maintenance the little things, so as I get older and I'm putting more wear and tear, like it doesn't affect me as it does most guys. And yeah, film, when it comes to like film study outside of that, I'm big on that. Like I love the X's and O's part of football as well. So when it comes to breaking down film, I can just sit down on my phone at any time, open up the film, see who we playing against, watch myself even, like critique myself, how can I get better? And that's just my weekly routine. Like film when I can, extra if I can, and PT all the time. Like just live in the facility. I feel like the more you're in the facility, like only benefits you can get from it. I'm never in a rush to leave. I'm a first guy in, last guy to go kind of guy. So yeah, I just love to work.
Yeah, you mentioned the work ethic and trying to work on some of the trying to work on your game and continue to get better and work on your craft. You're training right now for the NFL, getting ready for the draft, and getting ready to where when you get on a roster, you're ready to go once rookie camp comes along. So, what are you doing right now? What are you working on for you to get better? And what are some areas in your game that you think that you can continue to improve on and get better as you go along here in this process?
Right now, what I'm currently focused on for draft prep is being as fast as I can while being as heavy as I can. Like I'm trying to get my speed and weight perfect, so I'm at the perfect balance of weight and speed when it's time for my pro day. Um, I feel like my route running and my hands are solid, so I'm not really worried about that. The best thing I can do for myself is show that I'm fast and agile, which I am. So I'm really focused on fine tuning all the little things for myself. And you said, what can I get better in as a receiver wise? I feel like I'm an all around receiver, but like you feel me, I even like to block. But you can always get better. I have to be able to adjust to that game. So when I get to that level, like I want to be better at diagnosing coverages, diagnosing how people play off man, press man, diagnosing how defenses hide their coverages. I feel like that's where I can get better at, seeing the game, like the on field aspect of it versus like I can get better personally, but like I need to get the IQ part for me, I feel like is the biggest jump for me.
So, you mentioned some really good stuff there, and I'm curious to know when you are evaluating on film the stuff that you've done, but then you're also looking at what your opponent is going to do, the DBs of the opposing teams as well as the defense that you're going to play that week, because some teams are going to alternate throughout the game between 1 high to 2 high to, playing cover 0, sometimes even playing cover 3. I mean, how do you study the different coverages that you're going to kind of see each week? Because every team, is going to run like a base coverage, but then throw some sort of wrinkle in there. So how do you study and diagnose that?
Nah, for sure. Usually when it comes into game planning for the week, coaches will give us like a percentages of which coverages is being played. So I'll know like even if they play like 4 or 5 coverages, I'll know the percentage of the coverages that they're playing, what their favorite is. And I always go out based off I come out, I look at the safeties, see if they're playing 2 high, 1 high, looking if the safety's ready to rotate down. I always look at the leverage of the corner, where if he's pressed or off, if he's giving me the sideline or he's forcing me to the sideline. It's just the little things, but when I'm watching film, I'm definitely looking to know what's going on before the play even starts. Like I'm out there I'm trying to give myself an advantage. So I feel like focusing on the film and being able to diagnose what's happening can make me play 1,000 times better.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of where you're at with things right now, many NFL teams are getting to look to know you guys personally as well as what they see on film of you as a player. So I'm wondering here, and you don't have to give us the specific teams if you don't want to, but have you had conversations with teams, and so those conversations?
You asked me about conversations with NFL teams. I went to the Tropical Bowl. First off, that was my first time seeing like that many NFL teams in a room, so it was like a crazy experience for me. I met with a few teams, but I had great conversations with the Bears, Steelers, Patriots, Colts, Jets, and Bears, Colts, Patriots, Steelers, Jets. And there was one more team, but I introduced myself to every team in the room. It was every team there. I was walking up to guys, I'm Carlos Smith, handshake, looking guys in the eye, like, because I just want an opportunity. Like, I would love to play for any 32 teams in the NFL. They asked me about my story. I told them about my past, going from Virginia Tech to Lafayette to Robert Morris and being a winner. And the qualities that I bring, I showed them some film. A lot of guys were interested in my film. And yeah, and they're like, hopefully we'll be in touch. And that was vice versa. Like, I hope to be in touch with any team that's interested in me.
All right, so I gotta ask you this, right? Like, we were talking off the record about anything and everything related to Chicago. You made a comment like, "Hey, the sports culture in Chicago is crazy." Like, do you know any? Have you ever been to Chicago? Do you know anything about Chicago at all, or is it kind of just one of those where you're like, "Yeah, big city on a map. I hope to be there someday."
Chicago, I've never been to Chicago, first off, but it's just an influential city. Like you said, it is a big city, but you guys have so much history with Jordan being there, the Bears. I mean, not anymore. I don't have a favorite, but I used to be a Packers fan, so you guys are like in the division. So like I know the history of you guys for sure. And you guys have had some ballers there. So it's like I know the fans go crazy for that. You guys have an awesome culture there.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow up with this one real quick. Like I know you grew up a Packers fan, I guess, right? But
Yeah.
what's your favorite like Bears player? Or I guess like, do you know
Easy.
anything about like Bears culture or history?
My favorite Bears player is definitely Devin Hester. He was a guy. He was the ultimate returner. Like me playing Madden, all the childhood games he was on, like I'm getting Devin Hester every time. I'm running the kickback every time. He wasn't like the greatest, but I also like Jay Cutler too. I liked his attitude at quarterback. Like I like a quarterback with some kind of moxie and he's not scared. Like he gonna go out there and be himself and he's gonna lead us. Jay Cutler was ruthless. I like dude a lot. And yeah, those are two guys that I really, really like. I mean, you guys have had Brian Urlacher. You guys have had so many guys. Like the list can go forever.
Yeah, I remember specifically. I grew up with the Lovey. So I remember the Super Bowl they were in. Devin Hester's return, very first play of the game.
Yeah.
I remember that part of the game. I completely blocked out the rest of that game for good reason there. But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Jay Cutler because he's a very polarizing figure, I think, in Chicago. There are a lot of fans who liked him a lot, because of that moxie you talk about, but also a lot of fans who don't.
Because when you're not winning, like you feel me, it's different.
Yeah.
So it's like, but being in the locker room with a quarterback like that, when the quarterback is like badass and he has that energy, it gives you a different kind of confidence versus like. I mean, I don't mind the reserve quarterback, but if you're going to go out there with the FU attitude, I'm going to back your play as a receiver 100%. It's me and you against whoever.
So, like, did you just... Oh, go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to mention, the Smoking J meme. I'm curious if
I've seen it.
That kind of sums it up.
Did I just hear you call Jay Cutler a badass quarterback? Because if so, I mean, you literally earned yourself like a permanent spot on this show in terms of like, wherever you end up in the league, you could come back and, talk to us about ball every single day. But okay, so I guess I got to ask you, right? Because you mentioned Michael Jordan. This is going to be a question where I know some of our viewers and listeners are going to be like, are you serious? Like, why are you asking this?
Make
but
or
like,
break.
Jordan or LeBron? I'm curious
I
to
knew
know.
it was coming.
Like, I'll be real with you, dude. Me coaching at the high school level, I feel like I hear this debate even to this day. And I'm like, why is it even a comparison? Like, you guys should know my answer, but I got to get your take on this.
When it comes to being a competitor, Michael Jordan is the best competitor. He's the best competitor. But me personally, I like LeBron. I grew up in the LeBron era. I've never seen Jordan play. I've never seen him get all those accolades. I've seen LeBron dominate since the age of like 4 years old. LeBron's been the best all my life. So I can't really go against it. I've seen him beat the Warriors when they were stacked, loaded, come down from 3-1. Like those experiences, being alive and like knowing I can't trade for something I've never seen, I feel like.
I think that's a fair answer. I'm a MJ guy because we got to go with the hometown
Sure.
guy. I still think, I'm a bit of a basketball junkie myself as well, so I watch a lot of the old games as well. I think what's crazy about LeBron is the longevity, the fact that he's still playing at such a high level, and he's like, what, 40, 41? I mean, he's
that's insane. That's the dream. He's playing with his son and everything. Like, he's doing it. That's crazy.
He's incredible. I think, though, regardless of where you stand on it, those two are the
legends. They're top
for
guys,
sure. I think, for sure. I'm curious, so you haven't been in Chicago, so you're probably not familiar with the Chicago food scene, right? So if you're ever in Chicago, I gotta tell you, like, people hate on it. You gotta try deep dish. All right,
yeah, for sure. I've heard about the Chicago deep dish pizza. That's one thing I do know.
If you're ever in town, Lou Malnati's is my personal favorite, so you gotta try that. And then you gotta try our Italian beef. I know you had the Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia, right? So gotta
What's
try the
Italian beef in comparison to a cheesesteak? You gotta fill me in.
So cheesesteak, you have the ribeye. Are you a cheese whiz guy or a just regular?
Nah, we need cheese in it. We need cheese in it. We need the cheese for the cheese.
So the traditional Italian beef does not have cheese, but they dip it. The thing that makes it Italian beef is you dip it in the au jus, and that makes it really flavorful.
Okay, so I gotta get into it.
It's really good. Gotta have a Chicago hot dog whenever you're in town. A classic Chicago dog with everything on it. Just get a little recommendation right there. You mentioned, I'm curious here. So you mentioned you got a fine arts degree.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. What's kind of your interest there? What are you planning on doing with that? Is there anything you're doing away from football that kind of keeps you grounded and kind of keeps you level-headed as you go through this process with that?
Nah, for sure. My degree is in fine arts. I have a brand called Decided. I've been working on since 2022. It's a collection of artworks that I just make and stash. Decided to me is a brand that I started when I got to Lafayette. I changed my degree and I was like, I have to make a decision to set me up for life. And Decided was an art decision where I made a collection, as I feel like life is all about decisions. So yeah, I paint in my free time and everything goes towards that collection because Decided is like my whole mindset. Like, you feel me? I decided to be a winner in not only football, but like life. So that was like a great message for myself and something that I could share with the people.
So, and this is awesome, by the way, but I'm curious to know, because you have Decided in the background, that painting, which is on my left-hand side. So are those two paintings things that, like, did you paint those? Because they are phenomenal.
I 100% painted them.
Like, just doing a visual analysis of them, I mean, we're going to have to get more into this off the air, but they definitely, like, send some sort of legitimate and deep message that is worth examining.
No, for sure. Being an art guy is like, being able to have a message and create work that makes people think is like my whole thing. Like, getting my degree in art made me like more of a people person, I would say, because it's not only a skill for me, but it also the messages that you can evoke using your work. So I'm super hands-on with Decided. I want my work to catch people's eyes and I want them to catch the message, because you feel me? If you're decided, you could decide it and change your life,
And I think it's awesome that you have that also, to kind of push down those barriers for, as a football player, right? You don't really associate that aspect of, football player's personality, I think, in the mainstream, right? So it's awesome that you have, that as well that you can go to. I think that's artwork's phenomenal, man. I'll just say it's really good.
I appreciate you guys.
So,
right.
I mean, last one for me here, but we talked earlier in the episode about how like teams are doing their homework on you, right? But like I think the opposite is also true as a prospect in terms of like when you're out there and teams are doing their homework on you, like you're also doing your homework on these teams. So just how have you gone about that process of kind of evaluating, right? Like realistically, I'm a receiver. I may not be the type of guy that fits into every single offense, but I'm going to kind of make it work for me wherever I end up. And like football is so much about scheme fit, but how have you evaluated like teams that you think you would fit into better compared to like other ones?
I've been looking at a lot of team needs, me personally, because like I said, it doesn't matter where I go, but like the NFL is shifting with the contracts every year. So, front offices are changing. So I'm doing my homework on like what's happening in these front offices, what quarterbacks are switching, what receivers are leaving their teams. I've definitely been doing my homework on what offenses like fit for me, but like you said, I'm ready to go in and work no matter what 32 teams it is. I feel like I can fit in any NFL offense, but definitely there are some better schemes that I feel like I fit in, but I can play any scheme, so I can't even, that's not even up to me. That's up to the team that picks me, man.
Well, I know you mentioned that you did talk to the Bears, which is exciting for us being this is a Bears podcast. I'm sure a lot of listeners are excited to hear that. The Bears are going to be looking for, I think, wide receiver help, I think, this year. They have a new coaching staff coming in with Ben Johnson. I'm sure if you were to be, brought in by the Bears, you'd be very excited to work with a guy like Ben Johnson, who is one of the better, highly touted offensive minds in the game. So, I'll say is, to kind of wrap things up here for me is that, we're wishing you the best of luck going forward with your NFL journey here. And I'm just curious for all of our listeners out there, where can they find you and, what's kind of your next step here as you're kind of going through this process?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Carl Deuce, CarlDuece, and on Instagram at 1K_Deuce, DUECE. And what's next for me, man? If you look at my social media, it's just nothing but work. You feel me? My per day is March 27th. And right now it's just day by day until we make it to the finish line and until it's draft time and I get that phone call. It's just nothing but work for me, man. Work, hard prayer, and dedication, man. Day by day. That's how I've been living lately.
Yeah, and last thing for me here is this, keep in touch if you need anything from Andrew or I, let us know when you, if you do end up in Chicago or even if you don't, man, like, I'm going to try to get you some deep dish pizza or something, get you.
If I don't end up on the Bears, I'll definitely come for a visit for some food. I got a lot of recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, I'm a food guy myself, so like I was in a meeting today for football, and I was telling our guys, I was just like, y'all gotta eat like way more. So I'm like, I'm a food guy myself, so we can go wherever.
Nah, for sure. I definitely have some recommendations. I'm excited, man. Try me a hot dog or something.
Absolutely. Well, Carl, it's been awesome talking to you, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me so much. You guys have a good one.